It's so good to be here. Somebody asked me if I was nervous, and honestly, I feel so blessed to get to do this, and I get to speak to my favorite people. Like, this is so amazing, right? So, um, the shofar, if you don't know what this is, the shofar, I brought this today because it's a picture of my prayer for us today. This is a horn from a kudu in Israel, and it's hollowed out of all of, the kind of the dead pieces that might be in a horn. And that's what I want to be today. I want to be a vessel like this is, that's dead to my flesh and that is open for use by the Lord, right? And so I'm actually going to blow this. Yeah. So I'm going to blow this, and when I'm nervous, sometimes it doesn't go so great. So just like bear with me. It will happen. So let's go. Oh, goodness. I could speak all day to you, but blowing the shofar in front of you is a little nerve-wracking. May his words and his voice be powerful today. Hanani, it's a Hebrew word for here I am. Here I am, ready for the download. What will I say to those amazing young women? I love you. If you don't believe it, I understand. I have a hard time with that sometimes too. My name is Francie Brown. I'm 53 years old, and I've learned a few things along the way that I'd like to share with you today. I do not look in the mirror and see Jesus, nor do I think that is the goal. Mirror, mirror on the wall, I've been on a journey that has seemed more like a war at times. Sometimes I thought I knew the enemy, and sometimes I wasn't sure who I was fighting or why I was even fighting at all. And all the while, I found myself empty. Mirror, mirror on the wall. But I do have a few things to say about the mirror. Let's see, here we go. Right? The mirror is a liar. The mirror is unkind. And the mirror is empty. The stage was set for my war at the beginning. I had a mom who didn't want me. She said that if abortion had been legal, she would have aborted me. My dad was too busy and self-absorbed to care, and I was left to figure it out on my own. So I did. I spent most of my life asking the world if it wanted me. Of course, I didn't know that, right? But that is what I was doing. I was an A student, looking for constant approval until I got that B. I spent most of my time with friends, hoping that they would fill that bottomless pit inside of me. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be loved by my friends. That all worked until I moved and went to 4 different high schools. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? It wasn't me. I wanted the boys to like me. I had a few boyfriends in high school, but never really the ones that I wanted. Clearly, I wasn't the prettiest. Clearly, no one really wanted me. I was left empty, reaching, searching, looking for someone or something to say I mattered, that I was worthy, that the world actually wanted me here. Eventually, I found Jesus. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. And I lived happily ever after. Right? Okay, let's talk about it. It is true. I am loved by the God of the universe. And my mirror saying it, right? The word is sweeter than honey. It is the rock on which I stand. It is far more valuable than rubies. This is true. It is true. And I love the word. How does it help me that I have it on the mirror? Because when I stand here and I look in the mirror, it says, I love you. When I stand here, it says, I love you. When I stand here, it says, I love you. When I stand here, it says, I love you. When it stands here, it says, I love you. And yet, I'm still feeling empty at some level. What I really wanted was a relationship. I really wanted someone to say, what? I love you. I really wanted someone to say, I see you. I wanted someone to say, I know you. I wanted someone to be with me. So while I knew Jesus and his salvation in my early 20s, I was just beginning a journey of getting to know him. Faith requires action. Faith without works is dead. I was being invited into a dynamic relationship. A few years ago, I was at a conference. It was a conference of 1,000 women, and I had no friends there. I just went alone. And things were fine. And it was the most amazing, beautiful spot. There were beautiful views, all the things to see and do. But I found myself pretty upset. And so I decided to go on a journey, on a trail, actually. I had been on the trail before, and I knew that there was this beautiful spot that I could stop and just take in the beauty. So I decided to go on that trail. But on the way, I realized I really need to talk to the Lord. So I was just talking to the Lord. I was like, why am I here? This isn't going well. I'm not very happy with this conference. What's the point? Why'd you bring me here? I was totally ranting at the Lord. And I just kept walking and ranting and walking and ranting. And it had gone on a long time. And I'd passed the spot I wanted to stop and take in the beauty. And I said, oh, Lord, I forgot to stop at that place and actually just take in your beauty. And I said, I missed it. And he said, I didn't. I've been looking at you this whole time, and you're far more beautiful than my creation. I was undone. It wasn't an audible voice. How do I know it wasn't my voice? It wasn't mine because I would have never said that to myself. His voice is so kind and gentle. He does have a firm voice, but his voice is kind and gentle. So I continued on the trail, and I come to my senses, and I was like, yeah, but do you really see me? Like, do you see me? Do you know me? Do you really know all I've done? And you really see me? And I looked up, and literally I was in the midst of birch trees. And I don't know if you know a birch tree, but there are little eyes they look like eyes on birch trees. And they were surrounding me, literally. He had used the physical to speak about the spiritual. So I asked him to show up in these little ways, and he started sharing hearts with me. I'm not kidding. In the craziest of places, hearts started showing up. I don't take a picture of all of them, but some of them are just worthy of pictures. I took this picture in California this summer, and I come home and I was showing my husband this picture, and I was like, so this is Hollywood. This is like overlooking the superstars' homes and stuff, and this is Hollywood. And he's like, boy, he's really going out of his way. I said, what are you talking about? I hadn't even noticed until I got home and we were looking at that picture. Of course, it doesn't have to be hearts, right? God is intimate and very specific with each person. I have a friend who a red thread shows up, or another friend, 1212 shows up. So ask him. He'll show up. Of course, it's not all romance. Sometimes it's just plain hard. If I'm honest, it's a lot hard. Just when I think I have him figured out, the earth seems to quake. I find myself on shaky ground, and I'm once again found in front of the mirror asking, do you really love me? Have you ever seen a prism? This isn't quite a prism, but it's serving me well. God likes to put us in different places so that we see him differently from all different sides, that we get to know him. Many of us have been in places where our ground has shaken and nearly swallowed us. But we end up in a different place and we see God differently. He hasn't changed. He hasn't changed. But our sight and the way we see him has. 5 years ago next month is the anniversary of, 5 years ago. Next month is the anniversary of our 11-month-old granddaughter's passing. Ariadne, we called her Ari, was perfect in every way. This was the last day I spent with her. My son and his wife put her to bed at 7:30 at night, and at 11:30 when they went to check on her, she was gone. The ground had shaken. There was no cause. She was perfectly fine, and she was just gone. Nothing was the same. Everything was blurry. Everything seemed dark. There are no words for those losses. I don't have answers to the why, but I do know the who. And during that time, I was angry. I was sad. I was lost. I was tired. I was utterly exhausted with grief. He met me. He listened. He allowed me to wrestle with him. He held me. He wept with me for a long time. He still does. Do you know that tears look differently under a microscope for where they're like what type of tears we have? So this under the microscope is the tears of grief. Those are tears that come from joy. This is how cool our God is. And just for fun, I threw this one in. Those are tears that come from peeling an onion. God is so cool. Recently, my daughter's graduation speech from 2016 came up, and I realized a portion of that was perfect for this talk. So I'm going to share a clip of that. It's a short clip of my daughter, Jordan.
After much thought and consideration, I finally sat down at my computer, and God kept pushing me toward one simple thing. Just be real with Him. So that's what I'm going to do. High school has been the hardest thing to walk through for me, ever. Countless moments of despair, nights where I lock myself in my closet and cry myself to sleep, running out the door, down the road, into the woods, hiding from my parents when they would sit me down for a talk, multiple temptations, lying, cheating, coveting, hiding, heart-numbing jealousy, heartbreak, rejection, believing the lies, and trying to fit in, seeking attention in the wrong places, and sadly, the list goes on. Now, maybe you've had a better experience than I have. I don't really know. But if I had the opportunity to go back and to change my story, and even just one little aspect, I would not dare. Without those moments of complete despair and reliance on the God of the universe, I wouldn't even be able to comprehend the concept of trust. Trust is more than just not caring. Trust is screaming out to God and saying, you can have this because I can't do this on my own. Trust is knowing in my heart, in my mind, and in my soul that the only reason I'm able to wake up in the morning is because when Jesus took my punishment on the cross, he looked at me and he said, no, let me have your shame, let me have your pain. And that's the God that we serve. The God that we always can trust.
Jordan's 26 now. And wouldn't necessarily agree with all that she said when she was 18. She's on a journey. Again, sometimes the ground shakes and God looks different than he did before. The ground that we are standing on changes what we see. He's not changed, but our line of sight has. Where you are today will affect the way you see God. If you are suffering, you will see God differently than if you're in a season of goodness. Job was a man that was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. The ground under Job shook when he lost what he loved, his family, his belongings, his health. Disaster strikes, and Job begins a new journey of seeing God differently. God hasn't changed, but Job's faith was challenged and ultimately made stronger because he comes to know more of God when he declares, my ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Girls, we have to hear the invitation of God to grow and to know our Lord. Sometimes we need to move towards God. Our faith does require something of us. Sometimes we need to ask for eyes to see and to look. And other times we're simply called to rest. And that's especially hard if you're an overachiever. If you are lukewarm and you know him, but it feels dry and boring, move. Move towards him. Ask that he opens your eyes to his call and sweet love notes. If you're lost and searching, look. He is there ready to meet you. If you're hurting, wounded, or weary, rest. He will find you. It has been a great joy to talk to you today. I'm going to pray now.